silent prayers. I invite you to choose from the selection on 169 or 170 or the prayers of your heart. Bottom of 170.
Anarachet, Belish me Kadisha, Kadisha Yakira, Anamar Tuspechon, Anarachet, Anarachet, Belish me Kadisha, Kadisha Yakira, Anaymar Tushbechon, Yehi Rava Kadamach, Detitach Libi Beoraita, Letashli Mishalim Delibi, Believadech Alamach Yisrael, Letavu Chaim, Velishlam. Amen.
Somewhere useful.
Didn't say it quite right, but whatever.
Yep. Shabbat DR.
Do you know what we're Baharba Hubetai?
Harba Hukotai. First thing we need.
We're actually in Bahar. Na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 ya na 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 You can be seated. It's Homer. It doesn't because it doesn't start with.
But it's
I know. Well, they all start. I think. Is that right? Bahar Sinai Lamor. This week we read Parshat Bahar, which begins on page 738 in your Chumashim.
V'yazor, v'yagin, v'yoshel, v'chosim bo, v'nomar. Amen. Hakol habu godel hinu nu kavod laTorah. Kohen, bat Kohen, Kirvi, Yosef Achaya, bat David v'Chava, habat HaKohen, Baruch Shenatan Torah L'Imo Yisrael B'Kedushato.
Baruch Adonai Havarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher baruch banu im kol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah. Amen.
V'yedaber Adonai el Moshe behar Sinai lemor daber el bnei Yisrael ve'amarta lehem ki tavo el haaretz asher ani noten lachem v'shavta haaretz Shabbat l'Adonai she'esh shanim tizra sadecha v'shesh shanim tizmor charmecha ve'asafta et tu'ata.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temet v'chayei olam natan b'telchenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Ta'amod.
Marsha bat Miriam Yaakov Halevi.
Marsha bat Miriam
Yaakov Halevi.
Miriam Yaakov Halevi.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach. Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Uvshana hashvi'it Shabbat, Shabbaton yeh la'aretz, Shabbat l'Adonai, Sadecha lo tizra, V'charecha lo tizmor, etzbiach ketzirecha lo tiksor, Ve'et inve netzirecha lo tivtzor, Shnat Shabbaton yeh la'aretz, V'hayita Shabbat ha'aretz lachem le'achla, lecha ulavdecha ul'amatecha, v'lischirecha ul'toshavecha hagarim imach, v'livhemtecha ul'chaya asher be'artzecha tiyeh kol tu'ata lecho.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'telchenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
The third aliyah can be found on page 739, verse 8.
Ya'amod Avraham Avi Ben Shmuel Wolf V'Sarani Hashlishi.
Baruch Adonai Baruch.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Amen. V'safarta lecha sheva Shabbatot shanim, sheva pa'amim, v'yulecha yamei sheva Shabbatot hashanim, teshav arba'im shana, v'ha'avarta shofar trua b'chodesh hashvi'i b'asor l'chodesh b'yom ha'kippurim, Ta'aviru shofar b'chol arzachem v'kidashtem et shanat hachamishim shana ukrotem doror ba'aretz l'chol yoshbeha Yovel hiv tiyeh lechem v'shavtem ish el achuzato v'ish el mishpachto teshuvu Yovel hiv shanat hachamishim shana tiyeh lechem Lo tizra'u v'lo tiksaru et sufichecha v'lo tivzaru et nazirecha Ki yovel hiv kodesh tiyeh lechem min hasadet ochlu et tevuata Bishnat hayovel hazot teshuvu ish el achuzato
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu et Torato emet v'chayei olam atah b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. The fourth Aliyah can be found on page 740, verse 14.
Ya'amod Reuben Abraham
Ben Bezalel V'Leah.
Ben B'Tzalel V'Leah HaRibi'i
V'chi tinkaru There it is, right there.
Baruch Adonai and Baruch.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'cha banu kol amim v'nasal lanu es Torah. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'chitim karu mimkor lamitecha okano miad amitecha altonu ish et achiv bamispor shanim achar hayovel tikne meit amitecha bamispar shanei Tevuot yimkor lach lefi rav hashanim tarbeh miknato ulfi ma'ot hashanim tamid miknato ki mispar tevuot humocher lach velotonu ish et amitecha amito v'yareta me'elohecha ki ani I need the trope. Ki Adonai Elohechem v'asitem et chukotai et mishpatai tishmaru v'asitem otam v'yishavtem al ha'aretz levetah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah b'chayei olam b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
The fifth Aliyah can be found on page 741, verse 19.
Ya'amod Yisrael Mordechai ben Yaakov HaChamishi
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher b'cha banu mikol ha'amim v'nasan lanu es Torah. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'natna ha'aretz pirya v'achaltem lasova v'shavtem lavetach aleha V'chi tomru manocha b'shana ha'shevi'it hen lo nizra v'lo nasa v'tevuatenu v'tziviti et birchati lachem b'shana ha'shishit v'esat et ha'tevua lishlosh hashanim v'zaratem et hashana hashminit v'achaltem min ha'tevua yashan ad hashana ha'tshi'it ad bo'o ha'tevuata תאכלו ישן והארץ לא תימכר לצמיתות, כי לי הארץ כי גרים ותושבים אתם עמדי, ובכל ארץ אחוזתכם גאולה תיתנו לארץ.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נשא לנו התורה סמס, וחיי עולם נטע בזכותנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נושאין התורה.
Amen. The sixth aliyah can be found on page 742, verse 25.
Ya'amod Moshe Ruvain Ben Chaim Yaakov Hashishi
Baruch hu et Adonai Baruch.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ki amuch achicha umachar mechuzato uvogolo hikriv elav hakrov elav vegael et mimkar achiv veish ki lo yeh lo gaal v'hishiga yado umatzi umetzah kedei gulato וחשב את שני ממכרו והשיב את העודף לאש אשר מכר לו ושב לאחוזתו ואם לא מצא ידו דהשיב לו והיה ממכרו ביד הקונה אותו עד שנת היובל ויצא ויובל ושם לאחוזתו.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. She has the aliyah.
Ta'amod
Avita Rachel
Avita Rachel
ואת משה ראובן
Bat Moshe Ruvain
וחנה ציוויה.
V'chana Tzivya Hashvi'i
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ve'ish ki yimkor b'moshav ir choma v'hayta geulato עד טעם שנת ממכרו, ימים תהיה גאולתו, ואם לא יגאל, עד מלאת לו שנה תמימה, וקם הבית אשר בעיר, אשר לא חומה לצמיתות, לקנה אותו לדורותיו, לא יצא ויובל, ובתי החצירים, אשר אין להם חומה סביב, על שדה הארץ, יחשב גאולה תהיה לו, ויובל יוצא, וערי הלוויים, ותהא ערי אחוזתם, גאולת עולם תהיה ללוויים, ואשר יגאל מן הלוויים ויוצא ממקור בית ועיר בית ועיר אחוזתו ויובל כי ותהא ערי הלוויים היא אחוזתם בתוך בני ישראל ושדה v'sadeh migrosh arehem lo yimkor ki achuzat olam hu lachem v'chi yamuch achicha umata yado imach v'hechzakta bo ger v'toshav v'chaimach al tikach meoti meito neshech v'tarbit v'yareta melohecha v'chai achicha imach et kaspcha lo titen lo b'neshech uv'marbit lo titen achlecha ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim לתת לכם את ארץ כנען, להיות לכם לאלוהים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
We're going to take the opportunity to offer Abby a bracha this morning. Hillary's coming up, and Mitch and Meredith are here. For those of you that don't know, if Abby started her morning today by going over Hebrew and tutoring one of our upcoming B'nai Mitzvah students, and then she ran into the sanctuary and was a gabbai, and just now she read 2 aliyot.
Yeah.
Abby, you are central to who we are as a Beth Sholom community, and so, Josh, I might need you actually for your height.
Just for your height, Josh.
Yeah. So Abby, I want you to come under here. Misha Birach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah. May the one who blessed our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Abby, as you graduate from high school and fly your wings to go to Johns Hopkins. We are so proud of everything that you are and everything that you have become. You have been raised by this community, and you are an integral part of who we are. And my bracha for you this morning is that you find places that become just as important to you as this one, and that other communities become just as lucky as we are to have you as a participant, as a leader, as someone who helps grow their communities. We know that you will flourish in everything that you do. We have always been proud of everything that you have done here in this community, and I know that we will continue to be proud of everything that you do. We have a gift for you that you'll get afterwards. It's in the office. It's wrapped. But I want to tell you what it is because we're giving you a duffel bag because we hope that you will travel and that you will find your way all over this world. And on the duffel bag is a Beth Sholom made and branded Tfilat Haderech, a traveler's prayer. Because I hope that you know that wherever you go, God is with you, and that we as a community are with you, and that we will always be with you. Mazal tov.
Amen.
We'll continue with a Misha Berach for Cholim. Thank you, Josh. A prayer for all who are ill. When I pause, of course, please feel free to include names of those that you would like to daven for. Misha Berach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech v'Yirapeh Tacholim et Kristen Allen, Murray Alprin, Myra Alprin, Omer Ashkenazi, Mark Battleman, Helen Beavers, Ricky Beavers, Anna Blankenship, Lee Bradley, Vicky Bradley, Eli Bressinger, Ilana Brown, Mickey Brown, Jennifer Buchanan, Mike Burian, Marlena Carpenter, Beverly Cassius, Charlotte DeFlumer, Edward Goldberg, Shuli Goodman, Raymond Gottlieb, Rosalie Gottlieb, John Herrick, Michal Hillman, Marshall Jaffe, Nelson Jervis, Eli Katzen, Bob Krichelli, Steve Lieb, Mark St. Lazar, Bert Less, Amy Levine, Barbara Levine, Arlene Margolis, Maddie Marshall, Mark Mathias, Janie Millen, Carrie Mintz, Jody Moore, Erwin Ostro, Andrew Rosencrantz, Pamela Gay Ross, Judy Schunberg, Darlene Shevsky, Sarah Whaley, Sharon Whaley, Julie White, Jennifer Woodward, Ellen Ziskin, Ralph Jarl, Brian Ziskin, Aliza Batrina, Binyamin Aram, Ben Ori Wolf, Chaya Bracha, Bat Esther, Chaim Yisrael, Ben Shlomit, Dor Hadassah bat Malka Yaakov ben Elisheva Lev Aaron ben Sosamirla Malka bat Dora Bela Matleita bat Alta Miriam Ilana bat Sarah Moshe ben Pesha Rafua ben Ita Fega Shaul ben Yamin ben Sora Elisheva Shayachayan ben Sipora Sora Miriam bat Shendel Yaakov David ben Devorah Yonatan ben Batia Ze'eva Yisrael bat Malka Sarah ve'et HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimale Rachamim Alehem Lahachzikamu Rafotam Veishlach Lehem Meheram Refuah Shlema Min Hashamayim Refuat HaNefesh Refuat HaGuf B'tok Shar HaCholim V'chazek Et Yedei Mitzorchehem Shabbat Milizok Refuah Kerva Levo Hashta Bagalav Izman Kari V'nomar Amen El Na Refana Lanu El Na Refana Yitkadash Shemei Rabbah Ve'amad Yivrak Yurtei Ve'amlich Malchutei B'chayechon U'v'yomechon U'v'chayetech Ol Beit Yisrael V'gala V'gala U'v'yizman Kari Ve'yimeru Amen Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Ve'olam Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitala shemei tekutcha b'rechu leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'oma v'yimeru. Amen. The Maftir Aliyah for this morning begins verse 35 on page 743.
Ta'amod.
What's her Hebrew name? Tell Josh.
Yochevet Devorah. Bat Leah Fagel. Bit of Perez. Halevi HaMaftira.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. V'chiyamuch achicha umata yado imach Zakta bo ger v'toshav v'chaimach al tikach me'oto neshech v'tarbit v'yareta melohecha v'chayachicha imach et kaspcha lo titein lo v'neshech Marbihit lo titein achlecha ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim latet lachem et eretz Canaan lihiyot lachem le'Elohim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. We'll rise for the lifting of the Sefer Torah.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. עבדו את השם בשמחה, עבדו את השם בשמחה, בואו לפניו ברננה, בואו לפניו ברננה, בואו לפניו ברננה, בואו לפניו ברננה. The Haftarah for this morning can be found on page 763 in your Humashim. Often, this week's Parsha Bahar is combined with another portion, Bechukotai. This week they are together. Sometimes they're not. But the Haftarah for this morning, when they're combined, is 763.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratah b'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'eh ha'emet v'tzedek. Adonai Uzi umauzi umnusi be'om sarah elecha goyim yavo me'afse aretz ve'amru ach sheker nachalu avotenu hevel ve'en ba mo'il hayase lo adam Elohim vehema lo Elohim. Lechein hineni modiam bapam hazot odiem et shadi ve'et gevurati ve'yad'u ki shemi Adonai chatat Yehuda ketuva be'et barzel b'tziporen shamir charushai alu achlibam ukarnot mizbachotechem kizkor benehem mizbachotam ve'asherehem al etra'anan al gevot harari basadeh chelcha kolot rotecha levazeten bamotecha bechatat bechol gevulecha v'shamateta uvcha minachalatcha asher natati la v'havedeticha et oivecha ba'aretz asher lo yadata ki esh kedachtem be'api ad olam tukad ko amar Adonai arur hagever asher yiftach be'adam v'sam bashar zera'o umin Adonai yasur libo v'haya ka'arar be'arava v'lo yir'eh ki yavuch tov v'shachan harerim bamidbar eretz melacha v'lo teshev. Baruch hagever asher yiftach ba'Adonai v'haya Adonai mivtacho v'haya ke'etz shatul mayim ve'al yuval yishalach sherashav ve'lo yir'eh ki yavochom v'haya alehu ra'anan uvishnat batzoret lo yid'ag ve'lo yamish me'asot peri akov halev mikol ve'anushu mi yeda'enu ani Adonai choker lev bochen kalayot ve'latet le'ish ki drachav ki fri me'alelav koreh Ashrei dagar velo yalad, Ose osher velo b'mishpat, Bechatzi yamav yazvenu, Uvachrito yihye naval, Kiseh chavod marom merishon, Mekom mikdashenu, Mikveh Yisrael Adonai, Kolois vecha yevoshu, Vesurai ba'aretz yikatevu, Ki azvu, Mekor mayim chayim et Adonai. Refa'eni Adonai ve'erafei, Hoshieni v'ivashea, Ki tehilati ata. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Sor kol ha'olamim, Tzadik b'chol haderot, Ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh, Hamdaber u'mkayim, Shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu, V'ne'amanim devarecha, V'davar echad mivarecha, Achor lo shuv rekam, Ki hamelech ne'eman v'rachaman ata. Baruch ata Adonai, Ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav. Rachem al Tzion ki hi beit chayenu, V'lau levat nefesh toshi, B'mheira b'yameinu. Baruch ata Adonai, Mesamech Tzion b'vaneha. Tzamcheinu Adonai Eloheinu be'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha, Uv'malchu petavi meshichecha, B'mheira yavo v'yagel libenu, Al kiso lo yeshev zar v'lo yinchalo od, Ucharim et kavodo, Ki v'shem kodshecha nishbata lo, Shelo yichbei nero le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, Magen David. Al haTorah ve'al avodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom haShabbat hazeh, Shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limenucha, lechavod u'tifaret. Al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach, u'mvarchim ota, yitbarach shimha befi kolcha tamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai, Mesamech Tzion b'vaneha. Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Yasher Koach to Jillian for chanting this morning's Haftarah. We continue on page 176. Yekum porkan min shemaya, china v'chis tavrachame v'chaye arichayum zonei revichei v'siyata dishmaya, uveron gufan ohora melezar. V'chol mi שעוסקים בצורכי ציבור ובבניין ארץ ישראל באמונה, הקדוש ברוך הוא ישלם שכרם ויסיר מהם כל מחלה, וירפא לכל גופם ויסלח לכל עוונם, וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיהם עם כל ישראל אחיהם ונאמר Amen. We'll turn to 178 for the prayer for the state of Israel. I'll invite up Hillary, who will lead us. Join us in the English on the left-hand side of the page. 178. Yeah, exactly.
Avinu Shebashamayim, stronghold and redeemer of the people Israel. Bless the state of Israel, that it may be the beginning of our redemption. Shield it with your love, spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them, crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say, Amen.
Thank you, Hillary. We'll turn to Ashrei on page 181.
Ashrei yoshvei beitecha odichallelucha sela. Ashrem shachachalo, Ashrem shadonai l'havdi l'adavid, rimcha Tehillat Adonai yedaber, piv yivarech kol basar, shem kodsho le'olam va'ed, v'anachnu nevarechya, me'atav yad olam. Hallelujah.
We turn to 183. We rise as the ark is open as we prepare to put the sacred Torah over.
Yechalelu et Shem Adonai, ki nizkav shemo levado, hodo al eretz v'shamayim, v'yaharem ve'erem
Ida.
Shabbat Shalom. Parshat Bahar, which we read part of this morning, holds the basic principles for our financial responsibilities to one another. And there are 4 passages, one that follows the next, each with the same structure. They mirror each other, and they outline the ways that we are meant to take care of each other. Notably, this framework in the Torah that speaks to us imagines each of us in the position of being able to help another person, not the person being helped. It imagines us, regardless of what our own social standing is, regardless of our own financial situation, as being the ones that can help others. I want to share just a bit of each of these 4 passages. They go like this. V'chi yamuch achicha, if your brother has fallen into poverty and has to sell some of their belongings, the nearest redeemer should come and buy what your brother is selling. V'chi yamuch achicha, if your brother has fallen into poverty and comes under your authority and is held by you as a resident alien, let them live by your side. Don't take anything from them or accrue interest. Just let them live by you. V'chi yamuch achicha, if your brother has fallen into poverty and must be sold to you, don't subject them to the treatment of a slave. Hire them as a worker. And the 4th one, v'chi yamuch, if your brother has descended and is sold to someone else that has prospered, help them to be redeemed. Each of these passages describes a scenario when, as the Torah describes, a brother of ours descends into poverty, and we, those that encounter them, are responsible for helping in some way. Of course, each of those situations is brought to our attention because we are then instructed or commanded to tend to their circumstances, to help them. There's so much here, of course, about social responsibility, the way that we relate to another who, as the Torah says, is our brother, and what it means to live in shared society. Of course, that's all crucial. But one of the things that struck me the most was the language, and that's what I want to explore today. Each of these 4 passages, these 4 scenarios, is introduced, as I read them, ki yamuch achicha, when your brother becomes poor. This word yamuch is quite rare, and these sections of today's parsha is the only time that this word is used in the whole Torah. Different translations that I looked up include phrases like this: when your brother falls into poverty, or when they sink into poverty, when your brother is in straits, should your brother come to ruin. To be honest, I couldn't find any classical commentaries or even any previously written divrei Torah specifically on the use of this word. That always means one of 2 things. Either it's a gold mine or it's entirely uninteresting. I'm trying to find out which one it is. But this word, yamuch, it's not the word that the Torah usually uses for someone that is poor. Like I said, it's the only time that it's used, but so many other times in the Torah, there are descriptions with different language of someone in poverty. The biblical scholar and teacher Nechama Leibowitz writes that this word yamuch is actually totally superfluous. The Torah could just say, when a person has to sell some of their possessions, or if your brother is sold into slavery, each of those situations would indicate that someone has fallen into poverty. So what does this word add? Why does the Torah use it, and what does it mean for us as someone in a position of power, as the Torah imagines us, that we can help someone else's circumstances? The classical commentator Ibn Ezra says that it means that he, our brother, has gone to a low, impoverished place. The BDB dictionary, also known as Bible Nerd Heaven, describes it as being specifically brought down low. That there is a type of dissension implied in each of these scenarios. It teaches that the implication here in this word isn't just about a state of being, but about a process, a weakening over time. It implies becoming something that you weren't before. What feels so significant about the nuance in this word is that it's not saying your brother is in poverty or someone you know is impoverished, but this word yamuch describes more than a state of being. It implies that it wasn't always this way. It implies that there was movement, that someone slipped down. It teaches us that there are likely many junctures along the way that bring someone deeper into that impoverished state that they have fallen into. My initial reaction in trying to make some meaning out of this word is that the inclusion of yamuch implies that if they have fallen, if it's not this permanent state that describes their existence, but a slow descent, that means that they can also be brought up step by step. Slowly in stages, they can move out of their low place into a state of groundedness and stability. I think that so often we are pained, so often we are paralyzed by the poverty that we see, that we comfort ourselves. Really, we allow ourselves to desist from the work because we say, well, there will always be poverty, or they'll always be that way. But when we view those around us as yamuch, as having been brought down slowly, having been weakened, we can be inspired to know that it doesn't have to be that way. We are meant to play a part in someone emerging from that place, even if it is one incremental step at a time, where they can slowly reverse that damage done to reach a better place. But we often think that that means grand gestures of saving people. And a different way of looking at this word and the way it functions in this parsha teaches that is not the case. Our engagement with our brother doesn't have to be one of saving, of giving away lots of money, such that they are in one gesture brought out of the poverty they experience. The word itself connects to what happens in these 4 scenarios in the Torah. Each one becomes progressively worse. Aviva Zornberg describes that these scenarios, each preface with yamuch, the descent, all relate to each other in that they intentionally are in chronological sequence. The first description doesn't seem so horrible. It's someone who has fallen on hard times and must sell some of their possessions. But as we know, it often doesn't stop there. As Zornberg writes, the first misstep leads to an avalanche of disasters. Then they find themselves needing to work for you in order to survive. Then they are sold to you. Then someone else. They keep descending and can't emerge. Rashi teaches, Al tanichehu sheyered v'yipol. Don't leave him such that he descends and then falls. And it's so hard to help raise him up. Strengthen him from the very moment his hand falters. He brings in a midrash. What is this similar to? A heavy load that a donkey is carrying on its back. When it's standing in one place, you can hold on to the donkey and ground it. But once it falls to the ground, not even 5 people could raise it up. This midrash, I think, is trying to appeal to us in a pragmatic sense, not even a spiritual one. It's saying, look how hard it would be on society if this person was let to fall to the ground like the donkey. If yamuch, that full descent, actually happened, look how many resources it takes to bring them back up. Look how inefficient it would be. Stop them before they reach anything that even resembles poverty, and it won't really be an issue. Yamuch will never be operative then at all. I'll tell you why I find this approach so spiritually challenging. Not that it's easy to give tzedakah. It's not. But we, as the giver, often feel better about ourselves when we see a gift that is so obviously necessary. When there is someone that has lost everything or is at their lowest point, and we come in and are able to save them. Or we come in and we get them a meal because we know that they haven't eaten in days. That is beautiful and valuable and such important work. And Rashi is reminding us that perhaps it's just as important to help the person who has had just one minor misstep, perhaps not even visible to most people because it keeps them from descending any further. The person you know who decided to downsize their home because maybe they wouldn't be able to make their mortgage payments. The person that sold a diamond because it would give them food for the next 3 months. Those scenarios, Rashi teaches, are just as worthwhile because they cut off Yamuch before it can even happen. It prevents the downward descent from being possible. These moments, too, necessitate our involvement just as much. Each of us are brothers, as the Torah says in these scenarios. Each of us can descend, each of us can strengthen, each of us can be downtrodden one descending step at a time. Or each of us can be one that lifts another up, even with one small, simple step. None of us is inherently more worthy or more deserving of our wealth or our possessions. The power here is the reminder that the small things are often not small at all. The social measures that the Torah asks us to put in place to catch people before they descend are the ones that perhaps no one even notices. They are not the things that get a name on a building or that get you an honor at an awards dinner, but they are the ones that can make the biggest difference, that catch people. They are the decisions that keep someone from the descent in the first place. It is these principles that the Torah imagines will make us all brothers, all siblings to one another. Ken Yehi Ratzon. We continue with Chatzi Kaddish before Musaf. Please rise, page 184.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba Be'alma divrach chirutei V'yamlich malchutei B'chayechon uv'yomechon Uv'chayei techol Beit Yisrael Bagala Uvizmahan kariv emeru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam yomei omaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yidramam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudisha b'richu Brichu la'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tushbecha ta v'nechemata damiron be'alma v'imeru.
We turn the next page to 185. We'll begin the Amidah out loud together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'koneh hakol, v'zocher chastei avot, u'mevi goel ibnei b'neihem, leman shemo be'achava, melech ozer ufoked u'moshia u'magen. Baruch atah Adonai, magen Avraham ufoked Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei meti matarav lehoshia, morid hatal, mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechaye Meitim Berachamim Rabim. Somech Noflim Verofech Olim.